go through this factoring is we're always looking for a GCF. Now here, if you see a variable in both terms, you can take that variable out. In addition, 4 and 20, the biggest number that goes in the 4 and 20 is 4. And we are left with x minus 5. That's what's left behind. That is factoring. There's nothing more you can do there. Now, with solving, you do have to set both terms equal to 0. This becomes x equals 0. This becomes x equals 5. And that is your answer. But please make no mistake about it. You can have factoring where you just take the GCF out and that is it. Okay. The second one, I have 3 even numbers here. At the bare minimum, I can pull a 2 out. So 2 times 3x squared plus 13x plus 12. And we're factoring what's left behind. Right away, there's no guessing here. There's no reason for anyone not to get this part. It's got to be 3x and x. Okay? I'm going to start with 3 and 4. I always start with the middle terms. It makes no sense to put the 3 with the 3x. So I put the 4 here and the 3 here. Now, whether you erase this or not after you're done is up to you. 3x times 3 is 9x. 4x times x is 4x. 4x and 9x is 13x. I must be right. That's literally what you're doing. I'm not giving 100 problems on this. So you've got to take your time with the problems. Okay. Make sure you get it right. 3x plus 4 equals 0. Which means 3x equals a negative 4, which means x equals negative 4/3. X plus 3 equals 0, which means x equals a negative 3. And those are our answers. Our next one, there is no GCF. So I'm going right to my parentheses. And I'm going to check the middle terms first. 4x and 2x. 5 and 3. Now watch what happens here. 12x. 10x. Is there any way to make that 26? Nope. So that means, not cry and give up. Try something else. Let's try 3 here and 5 here. 20x, 6x. Can I make that negative 26x? I can. If both of these are negative, negative 6 and negative 20 is a negative 26. Okay? And this is my answer. 4x minus 3 equals 0. 2x minus 5 equals 0. We get 4x equals 3, x equals 3/4. 2x equals 5, and x equals 5/2. And those are your answers. Yes? Okay, so here there's no GCF. My advice, I'm going to try 5x and 3x first, and I'm going to try 5 and 2. It makes no sense to put the 5 here. I put the 5 here and the 2 here. Now, watch what happens. 25x and 6x. Is there a way to make that negative 19? Sure. My 25 is negative, my 6x is positive. That's how you make it 19. And that equals 0. 5x plus 2 equals 0. 5x equals negative 2. X equals negative 2/5. 3x minus 5 equals 0. 3x equals 5. X equals 5/3. And those are your two answers. Now, so just to show you as an example here, 15x squared minus 19x minus 10. If you're someone who would want to use that x method, here's what you do. The middle term with its sign always goes on the bottom. And then we multiply the a and the c terms. 15 times negative 10 is negative 150. So I have to come up with two terms that multiply to negative 150, but also add or combine to be negative 19. And that's negative 25 and 6. Negative 25 times 6 is negative 150. Negative 25 plus 6 is negative 19. And from there, 15x squared minus 25x plus 6x minus 10. We put an x by these two middle terms right here. We copy down the a and the c terms with their signs. And if you notice, I didn't change the value of the problem. Negative 25 plus 6 is negative 19. I take a GCF out of the first two terms. I put a plus sign down, and I keep that middle sign with the 6x. And then I take a GCF out of the second two terms. Here it's a 5x, and you're left with 3x minus 5. Here it's a 2, and you're left with 3x minus 5. And you just put your two bigger, or your two GCFs, I should say, in one parenthesis, and your 3x minus 5 in the other. And you notice you get the same answer. All right, last two. I'm going to pull a 4 out of this, and I'm left with 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. Now, in this case, I might put the back terms in first. I only have one option for the back terms. That's 1 and 3. 6, I'm going to use 3 and 2. I sure as heck am not putting the 3 in that second parenthesis because I don't want to have a GCF there. So that's the order I would put them in. 3x times 3 is 9x. 1 times 2x is 2x. How can I make 9x and 2x negative 7? This is a minus, this is a plus. So 3x plus 1 equals 0. X equals a negative 1, and x equals negative 1/3. 2x minus 3 equals 0. And x equals 3/2. And my final one, here when there's a term in all of them, you can take the variable out as well, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a 2x out here, and that's going to allow me to get 3 answers. I'm going to factor what's left. Once again, options for 1 are 1 and 1. The options for 6 are 6 and 1 or 3 and 2. I'm going to use 3 and 2 first. 3x times 1 is 3x. 1 times 2x is 2x. To get that positive x, I need a positive 3x and a negative 2x. And now I'm going to set all three terms equal to 0. When there's a variable in your GCF, that has to be set equal to 0 as well. Whereas in this problem where you have the 4, you don't need to set that GCF equal to 0. There's no variable there. But when there's a variable in front of in the GCF, you do set it equal to 0. So this is x equals 0, 3x equals 1, so x equals 1/3. 2x equals a negative 1, so x equals negative 1/2. And this right here are my 3 answers. All right. the top two problems here, the key is getting the parenthesis alone. That's what everything's based on here. So I subtract 6, and I get 2 times x plus 2 squared equals 6. I divide by 2, so the 2's cancel, and I'm left with x plus 2 squared equals 3. So once the parenthesis is alone, we take the square root of both sides, so that allows us to get rid of the parenthesis. So that allows us to get rid of the exponent of the parenthesis. So we end up with x plus 2 equals plus or minus root 3. Whenever you're solving for an x or a variable, you take the square root of something, you got to put plus minus in front of it. And then we subtract 2 to finish the problem. Do not forget to finish the problem. That is your answer. X equals negative 2 plus or minus root 3. Second one, same deal. You're getting the parenthesis alone. I'm going to add 4. 3x minus 3 squared equals 24. I'm going to divide by 3. X minus 3 squared equals 8. From here, we're taking the square root of both sides. This simply becomes x minus 3. The square root of 8 simplifies to 4, 2, 2. Pair of 2's with a 2 left over, so it's plus or minus 2 root 2, and you do need to simplify the radical. And then we add 3 to both sides. 3 plus or minus 2 root 2. And that is your answer. If this was a 15 here, we wouldn't be able to do it. But x squared plus 8x plus 16 factors to x plus 4 times x plus 4. So it's written as x plus 4 squared is what equals 20. And whenever I have a square with a binomial with a variable in it, we take the square root of both sides. X plus 4 squared, square root of 20. That means we get x plus 4 without the exponent, and my 20 simplifies to 2, 5. So plus or minus 2 root 5. Finish the problem. We subtract the 4 over. Negative 4 plus or minus 2 root 5. Same deal here. This factors to x minus 5 times x minus 5. So this becomes x minus 5 squared. It only works when you have a binomial squared, this method. You have to get a binomial squared. If you don't get a binomial squared, essentially you got to complete the square root. We're going to take the square root of both sides. So this becomes x minus 5, and the 45 over here, 3 and 15, 3 and 5. And I would suggest simplifying it off to the side. Equals plus or minus 3 root 5. And then I finish it by adding 5. 5 plus or minus 3 root 5.